Pass the basket. This is a weekly step meeting. Our format is as follows. A speaker is asked to talk for 30 minutes on the step of that week, followed by discussion or questions until 7. You can find these weekly meetings on our YouTube page, the Conscious Contact Speaker Group of Doylestown. Don't forget to smash the like button, subscribe, and share. And that brings us to the speaker portion of this meeting. On this day, what is today? January 9th, 2023 already. The Monday night Stay Alive Literature and Step Group with St. Paul's Lutheran Church. Tonight's speaker is Tim, and please give us a warm welcome for Tim. And he's going to talk about Step 5. Step 5.
Thank you. Good evening, everybody. My name is Tim, and I am an alcoholic. I want to thank Nick for asking me to speak, brother. I really appreciate that. I was taught that love is saying yes to what is, and to say yes when you're asked to be able to pay anything forward to this program that has changed my life. And it's changed the way I see things. It's changed the way I live. It's what changed what's in my heart. And I can't do that because I'm a selfish alcoholic that wants what he wants when he wants it. So the fact that I can sit here in this seat with y'all, in this breath, in this emotion, is a miracle. My sobriety date is August 1st, 2017. I have a sponsor. I have gone through the 12 steps of Alcoholics Anonymous outlined in this book, and I live that. It's not like I go through the steps and then I take my ball and I go home. Thank you, AA. Godspeed. I live to my best ability. I live in the steps. It's a design for living. It says it's not a theory. It's not something that I can have in my head. My sponsor told me when he met me that he said he was going to train my feet to move against my head. That it's all about what you're doing. It's not about what you're saying. It's not about what you're feeling. It's about what you're doing. It's about those exit lights, walking out that door, practicing these principles in all our affairs, having an awakened spirit that I can come in here and I can pass this message along that was so freely given to me, and I say freely. If you want to put money in the basket, you can, or you can. And I come in here and you guys just hugged me with unconditional love, unlike I've ever seen, because I came crawling in to this program. I was on my knees. I had drank and drugged myself into desolation. I was one of those guys that could never drink one drink, like going for one, stay till two, that formula. And I never had one beer ever. I never had one anything ever. It's the molecule of more, right? It's dopamine wants more dopamine, man. I can't get enough of anything that I like, because I'm sick. I have what is called a threefold disease of mind, body, and spirit. I have a mental obsession, I have a physical craving, and it's manifested through a sick spirit, filled with resentment, fear, jealousy, anger, benevolence, frustration, goes on, right? And that's a good day. And that's me when I'm not drinking. And it's important that when I walked in here, that you taught me that, because you knew me more than I knew me. The book, the 2/3 of this book defines the problem. And I used to look at myself in the mirror after being up for 3 days and keep asking that question, what's wrong with me, man? Ever do that? Ever just look in the mirror at yourself and just say, I can't stop. And I certainly can't stop hurting the people that are around me. I've hurt every single person that I've ever loved or has ever loved me. Anyone within breathing distance. I don't mean to do that. I just do. Because I'm sick. And I'm blocked. And that's a main point, that St. Francis said what you're looking for is what you're looking with. In other words, you have what you already need. You're just blocked, dude. You're blocked from your own spirit. It's a hell of a melody. alcoholism, to be blocked from your own spirit by my selfishness. Right? That's how I'm blocked. I blocked it through, I want what I want when I want it. And if you are in the way of that, well, you're going to get voted off the island somehow. You know? But through that, I had come to a place where I ran out of myself. I ran out of Tim. And God had paralyzed the liar in me long enough to see the truth. Like in a moment, I saw myself for who I was, which was completely full of crap. I had portrayed this character. I had invented this persona. You know, personality is Latin for persona, meaning mask. So I had this mask on, you know, all the time. Way before the pandemic, I was wearing masks. You know, and it was whoever it was. I had my own personality for my mother, for my parents, for my family. I'm going to show you who I think you want me to be, right? I'm always good. I got this. You know, same with my girlfriend, same with my friends, employers. You know, whoever's going to listen to me, I got a rap for you. You know, my sponsor said that the reason why I was closed-minded is because my mouth was always open. You know, an open mouth means a closed mind. And if you're the only one talking, you're only going to learn what you already know. So it's about listening. It's about like admitting. It's about the admission of truth, which is that first step, that concession. That concession is a surrender with a fight, right? I'm going down. And I'm fighting all the whole way, and then to the point I don't have any ammunition anymore, man, and I ran out of bullets, and I don't have any moves left, and it's the greatest thing that ever happened to me, but it was the worst thing at the same time. Like I lost myself, and I found myself in the same moment, but I still didn't know who I was. And I found myself wandering and crawling into AA. Somehow I got here. Again, I didn't pick my sobriety date. I don't know anyone who has. So that means that there is something that happens to us that I cannot control. If I'm powerless over alcohol, I don't have the choice to drink or not, right? So that means powerlessness. If I could choose to drink or not, then I wouldn't be in here. I wouldn't need sponsors, and I wouldn't need to be in service 2 or 3 times a month, 4 or 5 meetings a week, reading with 4 or 5 guys a week, which I do. And I'm not saying that to boast or to separate. I'm telling you, this is the things that I have to do in order to keep me here, safe and protected, with God's help, from alcohol, from hurting you, from hurting everybody around me, because that's all I've ever done when I do it my way. And when I take the directions from this book, when I just take simple direction, you know, I thought I knew everything about everything, right? I realized a friend of ours, Mickey Bush, would say, I knew nothing about nothing. That's the truth. And the ultimate wisdom, they say, a lot of religions say this, but like in Buddhism, they call the ultimate wisdom is not knowing anything, to know nothing. Meaning, I'm open to anything. I don't have any reservations, I don't have any judgments, I don't have prejudices, I just have open-mindedness. I have willingness and honesty. Those are the 3 ingredients that I need to come in here, and I don't have the ability to do that, and somehow God had granted me that to get me in this room to start saying, stop asking how, stop asking why, and start asking how, excuse me. You know? Just start asking how. And I'd come to believe in a power greater than myself through you, through observing my life when I started praying and taking the direction of what this book tells me to do, and I started to feel something within myself that was already there that I never knew. Like there's a part of me that's always been here that I never knew. I call that the 4th dimension. Because I'm blocked. I never knew that part of me. So I pray with my sponsor, and I made a decision to turn my life and my will. So my will is my thought life are my actions, right? So I'm turning my life, my thoughts, my actions over to the care of God as I understand Him at that moment, or my capacity to understand Him within my heart, not my head. I don't know God in my mind, I know God in my heart. Everything that's ever happened to me here in this program has always happened to me through things that I've done, not through things that I've known. Knowledge isn't going to do anything for me, but actions will. And I found that to be true. And I make this inventory. And it's very simple, but it's from the book. And it's important that I mention that because I don't come from the lineage of just don't drink, go to meetings. That stuff would have killed me. That myth that I hear in here. And there's no judgment on it. I just would stay away, as far away from those things that you hear that isn't in the book. I was taught if it's not in the book, leave it alone. Because I have to take direction through the principles. And principles are long-lasting values. They've been around way before me, and they're going to be around way longer than me, because everything else is temporary. But these values, these principles that we're taught, are how I can connect with this power that's greater than myself, it's greater than any power, than any problem I'd be able to face. Because I tried to manipulate everything and everybody, and I tried to play God. I never knew that I was, but I certainly was. I never said that out loud, but if you want to know what you believe in, look at your actions, right? So I looked at my actions, and I was playing God. I was trying to run the show Tim's way, and it was always a bad movie in the end, man. And so through that inventory process, we go through, which is the fifth step, which is to go over this process and to look at. It says in actual practice, we usually find a solitary self-appraisal insufficient, which means I can't do this myself. The idea is that I tell God, I admit to God, to another person, and to myself. And there's probably like 5 or 6 times in this book that tells us, that if I don't do this, I'm going to drink again. And this is one of those times. I talked about kind of more than, it says in page 73, more than most people, the alcoholic leads a double life. He's very much the actor. To the outer world, he presents his stage character. This is the one he likes his fellows to see. He wants to enjoy a certain reputation, but knows in his heart he doesn't deserve it. And that describes me perfectly, as I mentioned before, that how I viewed myself, right, was how you viewed me. So I would crawl into your head, and I would look back at me, and I would think, what would you want from me? And also, I'm trying to get something from you. So how can I do that? So I got to figure that out, right? Because I'm after something. I'm always after something. And what started happening was, when I started going through this process, that I started seeing something about myself that I never saw. And what I saw was the truth. I say God is truth. And that's something that I always never wanted to hear. There's an old spiritual axiom, instir qualis invenitur, which means that what you need the most will be found where you least want to look. Right? Everything I've never wanted to look at or never see or never wanted to, I stuffed down as far as I could, now has to come to the surface. And all I have to do is look at this. We don't have to analyze it. We're not pulling it apart. We're just seeing it, and we're being offered to look at it from an entirely different angle. Because I need to be honest about who I am. Because to be who you are, you got to let go of who you think you are. And I remember doing this, and within the process of it, I don't think I was experiencing anything while it was happening. We are engaged upon a life and death errand. And I didn't realize the severity of how important it was that I was doing what I was doing, because what I'm doing is I'm detaching myself from this ego in this process. I'm detaching myself from that thing that separates me from you, from my judgment and my opinion and what I think of you and what you should be doing. And all that, like I said, me playing God. And what I'm doing is now I'm looking at all those resentments. I either made it up or it wasn't true. All those fears that I had was because I was holding on to everything. And it was I was relying on myself, a sick person. And through that self-reliance, everything went to crap. Nothing ever worked out in my life, ever, and I mean nothing. And it also serves, going through my sex inventory, which is not the sex act, but all that manipulative stuff that I do to get what I want, right? It's the things that I'm doing. It's how I'm using sex as a weapon, the cheating, the lying, playing against people, because here's the secret, I don't know how to do intimacy. I don't know how to do that. I don't know how to love you. And love is an action word, man. It's like gratitude. You show gratitude. You show someone you love. I never knew that. It's not just an emotion that I think about or feel. It's something that you show. It's an action word. There's a lot of action words in this program. Demonstrate, express, right? Seek. But I didn't know how to do intimacy, so we'll just have sex a lot. And that's how I would do that. But the real truth is I'm scared to death of actually getting close to someone because I don't know who I am. And I was taught my whole life that the freedom is the pursuit of your desires. But I found out, truthfully, that real freedom is the freedom from my desires. Being removed of all that I want and I'm after. And what happened is during this process is I remember going home after the fifth step, and I remember at the end of the fifth step, I just told this man the worst stuff I've ever done. And he gave me a hug, man. He said, man, thank you so much for sharing with me and being honest with me to your capacity. And there was no judgment. I trusted him. I've never experienced that before. Not in that capacity. And I went home and I did what it says. Returning home, we find a place where we can be quiet for an hour, carefully reviewing what we have done. That we thank God from the bottom of our heart that we know him better. And I thought, how do I know God better if I just spend 12 hours talking about myself? But the truth is, I found out the truth about who I was. I found out all that crap about me and other things that I was doing because I'm a sick person. I have there's a story called Because I'm an Alcoholic in the back. And all those resentments and all those fears and all the things that I was doing to people is because that I'm trying to play God, and what we're trying to do is, and because I am selfish. And I found that out through this process. And the truth is either going to rub you or it's going to hug you. And it was so incredibly liberating. All these things that I tried to store and try to just pretend wasn't there. And the fact that it came up and that God had showed me that no matter what I had done, no matter how bad it was or how decrepit the things that I would do, that I always got the help that I needed. And if I look back in my life, that's always been true. I always got the help I needed. What does that tell you? It tells me that I have a God that loves me no matter what I do. They say faith without works is dead. And if I don't do the work, that doesn't mean that God won't love me. It means that I won't love God. And that's why I need to do the work. Because I got to know him better. And that's what that means. We thank God from the bottom of our heart that we know him better because now I know me better. If I want to know about God, then I need to know about his kids too. And I am one of them. So, I remember sitting there and it says to sit here for an hour. And my sponsor said, not 45 minutes, not 52 minutes, an hour. We do what this book says. I think I even I had a shelf and I put the book up on the shelf and took it off the shelf because it says to do that. Like I was not going to do anything my way anymore. It's just been such a disaster that let's just start taking direction. Never miss an opportunity to say nothing, is what my sponsor would tell me. And in that hour, man, I have to say that I had experienced something, a lift. I felt I was experiencing a lightness, a freedom. I'm a musician, so God has been blessed me with a creative soul, and I play a lot. I played out a lot, stage, and I play in studios, and I'm a writer and I'm a composer. And there's something that you do when you play, if anyone's ever played, you kind of lose yourself and you find yourself kind of at the same time. So you can kind of let go of what you need to let go. But there's this muscle memory part of you that needs to be on, like real on. So there's an interesting juxtaposition within your own self, right? And that takes a lot of practice to do that. But I felt that I was experiencing that after doing this. And it wasn't like a white light. It was very subtle and very, like it was just a pocket. You know, drums are the first instruments because it replicates the tempo, the heartbeat. That's the first instrument that was invented. So I felt like my tempo started to cool off a little bit, just a little bit. You know, and I started feeling something in terms of a part of me that I didn't know before. And I started to experiencing a lightness, and it's not relief, because relief is temporary. Because I'm going to be honest with you guys, I've never been the same since. Now, I wasn't cured that day. I'm just saying that there was something that happened. You know, another awakening that I was experiencing, that I experienced through all these steps. And if I'm experiencing an awakening, that means that I was asleep at one point. And I was starting to just wake up a little bit, you know. I had a lot more work to do. But on this fifth step, that I tried, that we try so hard, the inner resistance within us is so strong to do what gets us free. So this chapter is called Into Action, not into feelings, not into thoughts. Just do it. That's what my sponsor said. It's okay you feel like crap. It's working. It means that you're healing. And if we don't do this, then I'm going to drink again, and I probably won't come back. And I don't want to do that. I like the idea of I can either die an alcoholic death or I can live on a spiritual basis, and this is how we live on a spiritual basis. And we start by a necessary cleaning house that I can't tell you how much it's changed me since that day of time. And that's just the beginning. It's not like it's over. You know, it's a start of a journey. You know, there's no destination. There's no diploma you get in AA. There's no like, you've made it. Congrats. You know, it's it's a beautiful journey of freedom and then you pay it back forward by helping others, which is why we're here, through the help of God. And I'm very honored to not only sit here in front of you tonight and be able to talk about this, but to be here with you. And thank you for having me. And I think that's all I have. Thanks, man.
Please limit your sharing to 3 minutes. Please keep your shares related to this step. If you feel like drinking or if you had a drink today, please see me or speak to someone after the meeting. We ask that you please refrain from the use of profanity. We are in a church and on a spiritual journey. And I'll let you select. The meeting is now open for sharing. Hey, Todd.